Are you dreading your next home repair? Don't. Crew Pros is your one-call solution for everything your home needs. Whether it's heating and air, plumbing, complete roof replacement, whole home generators, and electrical repairs. Our professionals get the job done right. Crew Pros is your single source for high-quality home services at affordable prices. For everything your home needs, Crew Pros. Remodel, repair, replace.
Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee, the beautiful land in the world.
And I'm thankful for this guy who tweeted and said, I don't have that fire in my eye no more. That game right there was for him. That's what I do. I prove people wrong each and every night, and that's for him right there.
Hi, this is Tom Izzo at Michigan State, and you're listening to Grizz 901.
What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to the Summer League edition of Grizz 901. Thank you for joining us. I will be your host tonight. I am Daniel Greer, and we have just a fun episode. It's a summer edition episode. It's the 3rd of July. It's the day before we all shoot a bunch of fireworks and try not to blow ourselves up. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight, and so Nathan's going to join us here in a few minutes. But tonight, man, we're coming off a game where the Grizzlies win 94-92. And so make sure that you're having fun with us. We already have Volcano the Sweat. Volcano the Sweat is already here, and he's hanging out with us in the chat. If you're not in the chat, if you're hanging out on Twitter, thank you for joining us. We're going to go over this game. We're going to talk a lot about Junior and how he fits in this, I guess, in the main roster, the main team. Like, also, what does Roddy look like? And do we look at Roddy and how they're using him? But also Junior, are they using them the proper ways they'll be used on, when they're playing with the real Grizzlies, like not the Summer League? And so there's kind of a toss-up of what do you do? Like, do you play through them? But even though you're not going to play through them when we actually get into when we're playing alongside Ja, Marcus Smart, Bane, Jaren, or do you go ahead and play through them now because it would make more sense because it allows them to kind of develop themselves? And so there's so many questions. We're going to have a lot of answers for you. We're going to go over a little bit of the box score, but also we're going to ask the questions. Which of these guys are actually NBA guys? And I think that we're going to surprise you with some of our answers. But as you know, that we are brought to you by Zach Jaworski State Farm, where they treat you like family. We'll give them a shout out later in the show, but make sure if you do have any insurance needs, go check out Zach Jaworski State Farm. All right, let's go ahead and get into it right now. And we'll wait for Nate to come by later on to kind of talk about some stuff. But the first thing I want to talk about with the Summer League is what do these guys look like? Like on the main team, like what does it look like just completely? Because right now what we're seeing is we're seeing David Roddy, who looks great. He looks like a real NBA player. We're also looking at a guy that is Junior who is trying to figure out how in the world does he make it on the main team. We have so many questions, but you know what we have? We have a friend with us. There he is. What up, man? Are you is this like Hawaii? Like they're not in Hawaii. They're actually like in your state, realistically.
It's Summer League, dog.
I like it.
Aloha, muchacho.
All right, so because you took forever to get here, we did start without you. We just talking about the guys in the Summer League and which ones are actually real NBA players. And I'm curious if we had the same thought process. But looking at this team so far, who are the NBA players that you could see actually having a real, not career, that I don't want to go too far in the distance. Who's going to actually influence an NBA game this year?
Well, I think it's pretty clear, David, Roddy, and Junior. I mean, that's what I expected going into it, right? Like Junior, okay. The only time Junior wasn't dominating the game was when Roddy was dominating the game, and vice versa, okay. Right? And then when those guys were out, then nobody was dominating the game for the Grizzlies. I want to be careful with saying too much because I did come on here last year and say nothing about Santi Aldama looks like an NBA player after a Summer League game. Yeah. So I'm going to learn my lesson and not jump too far on the ledge. Yep. But I mean, those are the two guys. Vince Williams looked really, really good tonight. I mean, he was shooting the cover off the ball. And, last year after I saw him in person at Summer League, I was like, his ceiling is the Grizzlies version of a Cam Johnson. And that's like a huge, huge stretch, right? Like he's obviously, would be shocking if he was there anytime soon. Or if he ever got there, right? That'd be a pleasant surprise. But him being able to knock down shots like that and use his length on defense would be awesome. But so far, it's Roddy and Lofton look like the guys who can contribute on an NBA team. And so we can talk more about some of the other guys later. But to answer your questions, those two.
Yeah, so let's go down. And I'm not going to talk about the other team, the 76ers. Honestly, like they have some okay guys. I don't expect many of those guys to play real NBA minutes. Obviously, Jaquavion Smith, who I have loved. Ryan has been so famously, he has fallen out of love with Jaquavion. And so he went 4 of 10 from deep, but really, I look at the other side, 5 of 8 from deep for Vince Williams Jr. So it's not like he shot the lights out and you're like, oh my God, we actually had a guy on our team do better than him. So let's stay away from the 76ers, right? There were some good games out of them. They were fine, whatever. We'll stay with our team, and we will talk about other teams as we come, and find guys we like. But what we will do is talk about the guys that we don't think that are actually NBA players. And your glasses with the circle, the what is it? The ring light. It's just murder. I feel like I'm looking into my soul, like you're about to terminate me. All right, so let's talk about our guys. Okay, so is there anybody? I'm going to go through this list a little bit that played tonight. Okay, I don't want to talk about the guys who didn't play because I don't want to S on them if they didn't even play. But let's go through these guys, and you tell me whether you think NBA player or not. Okay,
is there any kind of in between or no?
I would say if you want to do a wait and see. You want to do a wait and see?
Yeah, we'll do a wait and see.
Okay. All right. Matthew Hurt, 13 minutes tonight, 4 points. He did get 7 rebounds, but what do you think?
No.
He's a dookie.
Yeah.
Don't love him.
The answer's no.
That's just honest. Dude, this guy, what is his first name? Is it Tariq Owens? Whatever. Number 41. 0.0 chance. 0 chance. I don't even know if he should play another game in the summer league. That bad. Something Ayayi. I don't know his first name. No. All right. Here's your guy. Biberovic. Sure. That guy.
You just got to say it with confidence. I got no idea. I'll say wait and see because that's what the Grizzlies did. But, I mean, I would just say wait and see. Only because of faith in the front office. I don't think he'll ever end up wearing a Grizzlies uniform in an actual game. But I'll say wait and see just because.
Okay. I will say absolutely not. Like, he doesn't have any wiggle to him. His shot doesn't look great. I'm not saying that there isn't chance to possibly get better down the stretch. I'm not saying like, hey, he can't get better. There is 0.0 chance that he will play for the Grizzlies unless they just keep him wherever he is. It's a draft and stash 3-4 years down the road, and he like gets hot maybe during the offseason. They try to run him into early games. That's the only thing. Dude, no. He doesn't have it.
Yeah, I'm not mad.
But actually, let's get to the guys that matter. We'll go to the last guy, Gigi Jackson. 10 points, 4 of 8 shooting, 2 rebounds.
Yes. Yep. I felt really good about that pick after watching him. He looks like the ultimate, like he is going to be ready, but not quite there yet. But I mean, he looked like a man amongst boys, and he's 18 years old.
Yeah,
and he had feel for the game. So I mean, I imagine him being a true NBA player. Like he obviously things could go off the rails, but I felt really good about the pick after watching just the first game.
Okay, yeah, I like it. I liked him a lot. He wasn't as big as I thought he would look because of his size. I thought he would look a lot bigger. Obviously, on TV, you can't really see much difference in a guy that's 6'4" to 6'8". You know, there's not much difference unless it's girth, right? Unless you have David Roddy size. You can't really tell the difference in height. But I did like the way he looked. He has wiggle, and we're big on wiggle here. He has some wiggle to his game, and so I thought he was a guy that, man, I just thought he had so much potential, and so obviously, he's a guy who's going to play in the G League all year.
Well, and he looks like he knows how to use his size.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked to see him get some Grizz minutes here and there, honestly. And I wouldn't be shocked to see him get minutes over a LaRavia.
I'd be shocked early on the season. Early on
in the season, of course. But
he won't play before Christmas.
I could see him developing. Well, yeah, we're obviously talking about later in the year. He's got to develop some and get some more feel for the NBA game. But I could see him end of the year getting some minutes, not real minutes, not important minutes, but minutes. And shoot, who knows? Listen, he knows how to use his size, and he's got the baseline skill set, and to go in there and just manhandle those dudes as an 18-year-old says a lot, right? Yeah. And so, listen, I could see him getting minutes this year.
Listen, I was impressed. I loved him in South Carolina. He looked good, but it was just like, is it good guy, good player, bad? Great. Is it good stats, bad team? Yeah, good stats, bad team. Mm-hmm. Is he that guy? And probably, but I will say that he looks like he has the potential, and really he's 18. He really shouldn't even be in the league in general. But him being in the pretty much playing for the G League Ignite. So our own Memphis Hustle, our own G League Ignite is pretty much what he's going to be doing the whole year. And so I'm excited about him. He will not be playing much at all, but there will be stints where he'll get some run just to give him, break the ice a little bit, take the pressure off of him. That way next off season, he can kind of take that leap. All right, let's get one more guy before we get to the guys that actually matter. Jacob Gilliard. What's your thoughts on him? Because I know we have obviously John, we have Marcus Smart. That's who you're probably going to run your offense through.
Derrick Rose.
Now have Derrick Rose, who can be the other backup point guard. Early into the season, that Derrick Rose, he's older. He might not run every game. Do you go ahead and go to Jacob Gilliard? And this is very off of a very small sample size. Do you feel comfortable so far if you had to go with him as your backup point guard early in the season?
No, too small to not be able to shoot.
Is he a player? Is he? I don't know. Is he a player? Is he an NBA player?
Depending on how old he is. My answer is no, unless he's like 22 at the oldest.
All right. He is officially 24.
No. I'd give it a wait and see. I just don't like the gap is too far. He's a very heady player. He's a guy that you could call up like the Grizzlies did last year when you're like, hey, we gotta have somebody.
Yeah.
But he's not a real NBA player in my opinion, which sucks because he's really smart. He's got a good feel for the game. I just don't think the skill set's there at his size to be able to be an NBA player. I love him to prove me wrong though. He's a root for you kind of guy.
Question. So he's a good player, right? I believe in his game. I think his size takes him out a lot of it. He hasn't shown the ability to make that shot, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask the question. If you were him, you're playing on the Memphis Hustle, right? You're in the NBA, right? You're very close to being in the NBA. You're not making as much money as you really wish you could, because that's just an honest thing. If you were him, I know you're not, and so it's hard to speak for somebody else, but if you were in his spot in his career, because you are smaller and because you have a chance to actually not be as this much smaller player, if you were to go overseas and play in those leagues and not be so outsized, would you do it?
I mean, there's a lot that goes into that question. If it's just purely basketball, yeah, probably.
Okay, that's all. That's all I'm asking about. I care less about your personal life.
Yeah, I know.
You as well, but Jacob as well.
Oh, I thought you meant just me. My bad.
Both of you, yeah. Both of you. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to talk a little bit about some Derrick Rose later. We're going to talk a little bit about Dylan Brooks later. Let's keep them to the very last part of the show. Cool with you?
Okay. Works for me.
All right, let's do it. All right, the other things I want to talk about is the main guys is how do they fit? Let's ask the question.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the other four. I'm going to let you start with the guy you want to start with. And so these are the most important players. Small sample size, very small. But you know what? We're going to talk, by the next time we talk, they'll have played 3 total games, actually 4. That'll be after the 4th game. And so it'll give us a good chance to give a barometer of how their summer's going. They probably won't play all 4 games. I bet they only play 3. But go ahead and give me who do you want to talk about first? And I'm only going to guess who it is.
I'll go ahead and play into it, mainly because I think the guy that I really want to talk about when you talk about last, I'll talk about Roddy for you. Yeah, the dude's a bucket. He's a good basketball player.
Yeah.
Have you seen it yet? That's what I want to start off. Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
And that's what the only thing that was going to possibly keep him off an NBA floor was a lack of 3-point shooting. And he comes out and shoots 4 for 9 tonight.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not with as much space as he will have in an NBA game. Right. Heck, he missed a couple of the easiest ones he had. Right. So he does everything else. He has good vision for his size. It's not amazing, but it's good. He has a nose for the ball. He can get you off the dribble. He defends really well.
All right.
He's a solid NBA player. And I just
we've heard you go on.
Well,
we've heard you.
Well, my thing is, we'll talk about it when we get to the last guy.
Okay, so listen, I don't want to go past David Roddy. I want to talk about 2 guys that are more on the main,
right?
Let's call it the main roster, right? I know I'm so used to stupid wrestling talk. We're going to call it the main roster here. So the 15 guys that they're going to go with the Grizzlies. Yeah. Let's talk about him and his fit there, because I could care less what he does in the summer. I want to ask 2 questions. First question is do you think that they should run the ball through him in the summer league, or allow him to play off ball because that's how he's going to play on the actual team? Because that's 2 different ways. And then the other thing is I want to ask, so that's one question. 2 things, one question, sorry. But my other question is do you think he should be, if all else stays the same with this roster, do you think he should be a starter when we open season?
Oof. Because we'll have let's go with the first question. Yes, they should run the ball through David Roddy.
Look at this. We're just lockstep.
Yeah. I think they should run the ball through David Roddy.
Why?
I think
why?
But because why wouldn't you?
Because
there's 2 guys you should run the ball through during summer league.
Okay.
David Roddy and Kenneth Lofton Jr.
Okay.
Because guess what? Those are the guys that are going to go play for you.
I understand that, but they're not going to do that on the main roster, though.
Who cares? They can play off the ball. He played off the ball all last year. That's not something he needs to work on. And guess what? You're going to be playing off the ball with Marcus Smart, Derrick Rose, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane. I'm sorry, but Jacob Gilyard running the offense doesn't inspire me to want David Roddy to be making cuts while Jacob Gilyard's running the offense. It just doesn't. What is he not going to do a bunch? Have the ball in his hands. But what sets the guys like Roddy apart and Lofton apart is you can put the ball in their hands and they can go make something out of it. You want him to be able to do that and learn to create for all the guys that are around him, because letting Ja Morant create for you he will create for you if you are blind, deaf, dumb, and don't have one hand. Like, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about, okay, what about when the offense breaks down and we just need you to go do something? So, yeah, they should play through him with that.
Okay.
And my answer is simply to how do they fit is Roddy will fit however they need him to fit. Right. That's why I love him so much. Yeah. Right. And what was your second question?
Is he going to start? Would you start him? Because right now you're talking about Marcus Smart being the lead ball guy. Then you have Baines, a wing. And then you have two bigs. Yeah. With Jaren and Steve-O.
I sort of lean towards no. I sort of think they go with a 3 towers approach with Santi, Jaren, and Steve-O maybe. I don't know. I haven't put that much thought into it. I would like Roddy. I think he's a natural fit in our minds because of Dylan being gone. But I think they like the idea of being able to play Jaren plus Steve-O plus Santi there. So I mean, honestly, I don't know. I'm going to say no, but I would like him there. I wouldn't mind him starting at all.
All right. All right. So my opinion on that, so I've kind of wavered back and forth on what I would do if it was, me, I guess, at the helm. I would definitely run him. I guess maybe he died. We're not sure. But what I would do is I would probably run and go through. At times, I would probably go through David Roddy, but I also want to see him off the ball a little bit and kind of be coming back into the ball, and so having to run off of screens and coming back to get the ball and then create. I don't need him to be the main ball handler. I still think there should be a true point guard. Try to facilitate a little bit of the offense, let him come back to the ball, and that's what I'm looking at mainly, is to see that. And so we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. It just depends on exactly how they're going to do it. But I wanted to see a little bit of creation out of David Roddy as well. So I don't want to say completely, but I don't want to have them run the offense through them the entire time. That's not what I want. I want to see a little bit of them coming off back screens, coming back to the ball, catch and shoot.
Yeah, I don't need the ball in his hands the entire time. You're definitely right about that. I just think, if you're trying, in my mind, and this might bring us to the next guy we need to talk about, it's, okay, do you want the ball in his hands or do you want the ball in Laravia's hands? Who are you trying to empower? I think they need to empower David Roddy.
Okay. Let's hold Junior till last. Let's go quicker through these next two. Let's go Vince Williams. What are your thoughts? I know he's labeled as 6'4", and everybody's saying he's 6'6". I don't know how big he is. He does look a little bit bigger than 6'4". Does he have a spot on this team? And if so, what is it?
I don't think he has a spot. I think he's a wait and see guy. I lean towards, yes, he's an NBA player. But I just don't know where you throw him in on this team. Right. Like that. And if he was going to go 5 for 8, 7-11 all the time,
right,
then he'll start at 3 while Ja's out and when Ja comes back. The truth is he's got games where he does that. He did that the first game in Summer League last year. I remember being there, and him and Laravia both just lit it up.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be quite there yet. I think he's going to turn into an NBA player, though. I think he's going to turn into a sort of 8, 9, 10 on your rotation type guy. He's got all the tools. He looks like he's developed well over the summer. He looks like a lot more comfortable, I thought, tonight. Again, we got to see if it transitions to more than just Summer League, but I'd say wait and see guy going to be an NBA player. I don't see him in the rotation this year, though.
He can't be a guy who goes and sits in the corner. He can't. He has to be able to handle the ball. And if he really wants to get on this, team, if he could figure out a way to handle the ball and become the combo guard and be a guy who could run the ball through him more, and he could be that backup point guard in a sense that could run along Marcus Smart coming out the second unit, 12 to 15 minutes a night. You can jack up some shots while the main guys are off the court. That is his spot. He just has to figure out, can he handle the ball enough? He hasn't been able to yet. Eventually he will. Volcano Sweat says that Luke Kennard's going to start the 3. I don't like that. I don't want to change much. If it's me, if I'm the coach, I want to keep him coming off the bench, getting comfortable, let him have the free reign, because at that point you're going to be able to have the offense to yourself. What I would probably do is I would get Marcus off early, and then let Bane run the more of the ball handling stuff in the first quarter. Then you rotate Marcus Smart back in, and at that point, then you're running Luke back in with him. And so then you have Luke and Marcus Smart. So really Marcus Smart has both Bane and or Luke with him at the whole time. So we'll see. Let's go to the next guy. And that's going to be Jake Laravia. Our guy, Anthony Sane, called him out. We are now the Shake and Bake boys. We are taking over. Everybody's going to be mad at us on the Grizzlies. That's all right. He said something about Jake, and Jake came out tonight. What are your thoughts? He went 2-9 from deep, 2-11 overall.
Again, I learned my lesson last year after saying nothing about Santi Aldama looks like an NBA player. I just still don't see it. I just still don't see it. He doesn't look like he's very comfortable. He doesn't look like he has a great feel for it. He doesn't look like he has the athleticism. You talk about not being able to see it with Roddy. I cannot see it at all with Jake, just to be honest. Listen, if Bane climbing, putting a stamp on his own guy, that's one thing. Bane coming out and saying he's a player, I believe it's in there somewhere. If I'm being honest, I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it yet. So hopefully he comes around, but so far it's looking like they took 2 first-round picks last year, and David Roddy is the one that's going to pan out.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we'll see. I'm interested in seeing what Jake does. I don't think I haven't seen him look comfortable, just like you were saying, but the shot hasn't fallen. It's just all over it's just all over. He's just throwing up on himself practically the entire time he's playing. And it just looks weird. Whatever. He needs more time. I think he's younger too. So
he needs a confidence thing.
I just don't know if he has like the consistency enough. Like I think because when you're consistent more, you feel more confident. I just don't think he has the consistency that we've seen. And it's like, get to your shot. Like, where's your shot? You look at David Roddy, and it's like he's always coming back to get to that one spot of the corner three, or not corner, I guess the left top of the key, whatever, is he's trying to get to that spot, right? And it's a set shot in the corner. That's what he's getting to. It looks like Jake's catching the ball, and he's like trying to get it up real quick so he can make sure he gets his 3 up because he wants to get the shot up. Instead of getting to your spot, finding a way to get to your main spots where you feel the most comfortable. That's what I don't see in him. Eventually it will come, but I do think he's younger. David Roddy, I think, is a year or 2 older than him. I haven't looked yet. I don't remember.
Yeah, Roddy was old. Jake wasn't super young, but he's definitely a little younger. I think Jake, when I look at him and I watch him play, he looks like the kind of guy. He looks like the kind of guy. Oh, that is younger than I thought.
I'm sorry. Pick 19. He's 21. I apologize.
Okay. That's about right. He looks like the kind of guy that once it clicks and he's like, okay, I've got this, he could play. But, we've seen guys like Zaire last year, and it was like, man, it's like once it clicks, he's going to be awesome. And then it just didn't click. And again, that's the jury is far from out on both of those guys, right? Mm. The book is far from written. It can, but so far I'm like, man, it just doesn't look like he has a feel for the game or any kind of confidence out there. And without that, there's no way.
All right. So we will talk about the Dylan Brooks signing with Houston and obviously what's coming back for him. We don't know the full TPE just yet. We don't know exactly if that entire trade, what's going to happen.
It's a mess.
It's still going. Josh Christopher, I would like to see him on the Summer League team. Unfortunately, I don't believe that's going to happen because of all of this. He's definitely not playing at Salt Lake, but he could make his way onto the roster at some point in the Summer League. I would like to see that, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the next segment. But we'll finish this with the guy that's Junior. Obviously, I guess Grizz Company Main is telling us that in Spaces they're saying that Junior fits with Ja more than Jaren, and so obviously they're drinking the Kool-Aid out there, and life is getting crazy. But let's talk about Junior because that's what this is the whole reason I want to talk about tonight. All right, so he had 21 and 13, right? 21-13, 4 assists, 2 of 4 from deep, which is big. I want to ask, like, just completely lay it out there.
Mm-hmm.
How does he fit on this team? I'm not saying he's not good enough. I believe he's good enough. I've been saying it since literally they were able to go get him when he was an unrestricted free agent. He's good enough. His defense obviously lacks in some areas, but he has shown that he can rebound the ball enough, which, a lot of those were just dummy rebounds where you're the big guy and they know, hey, let the big guy get the rebound. That's just understood. But let's say half of those he had to work really hard for. So I will give him his credit. He played well in getting rebounds, keeping the ball alive. I think he's good enough, but how does he fit? That's what I want to know.
He's good enough. The answer is he is good enough.
Yep.
And you look at it, he plays way bigger than his size. I mean, I'm watching Chet Holmgren out here, and I'm like, Bet that dude's praying he doesn't have to play the day they play the Grizzlies.
He's got 13 pounds added to him in 13 months. Like it's a big turnover. 1 pound a month. He's doing it big. I'm so
Kenny
happy.
could eat 13 Chets. All right. Like dude is praying he doesn't have to go up against Kenny again. But that's the problem is I don't know how he fits because they've got guys that fit really well with the way they want to play. But it's like the defense saying, listen, if we're going to be honest, Santi's a traffic cone on defense unless he's improved in the offseason, right? Unless he's going to improve. So I'm not worried about the lack of defense. I'm just like, okay, who do you play in front of? Because if he's going to play, it's going to be at power forward or like tiny ball center, right?
Yeah. And so let's get to that because I think that's where I want to take the conversation is he a matchup disruptor or is he a guy that you lean on for certain matchups? Because you kind of have to be one or the other and you can kind of within a game, you can be both, right? Okay. So I'm not want to say that you're pigeonholed, but you either have to be a matchup disruptor. So pretty much whoever like Steph Curry, right? When they did the whole all out and it was just, they went smaller and everybody else was bigger. They went smaller. That's a matchup disruptor. It was kind of a scheme. Roddy can be a matchup disruptor. So then, hey, we can't play a big guy because really he's just going to stretch him out. Or we can't play a smaller guy because he's just going to beat him up. And so is he that guy or is he like, hey, if they're not that big, we could play Kenny tonight instead of Xavier Tillman. Is it one or the other? I just
don't know who they want to put him in front of.
Right.
Because what Junior is amazing at is he's just a bucket.
He is.
He's just a bucket and he can get boards, but on this team, you don't want to bring him in to be a bucket. Like your big guys that aren't Jaren, you want them coming in, just like letting the game come to them. If Ja or whoever is able to dribble drive, get you a nice feed, then you get a bucket. If space opens up for you, you get a bucket. But outside of that, you're looking at your guards and your wings and Jaren. Those are the guys you want scoring. And so in that scheme, I'm not sure if he fits better than Tillman and Santi. Now you could say, hey, the dude is such a bucket. We just got to find a way to put him out there. But I don't know with a team with Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Luke Kennard, where a small ball forward bucket getter fits.
Okay.
That's the problem. I want him to fit because he's awesome, right? And I think he's better offensively than Tillman is. Might be better offensively than Santi is. Is he better within the Grizzlies offensive scheme than either of those guys? That's what I don't know about, right? And how does that fit?
Is he if it starts tonight, and honestly, you know what you're getting in Junior, know what you're getting in Xavier Tillman, and you have your two starters, right? You have Steve-O, who's healthy back, and you have Jaren, who obviously is back. When you go to your second unit of guys and you're kind of just, rotating through them, whether they're coming in together, which most of the time that does not happen, it's, one, and then they stagger a little bit until they come in. Are you eventually getting to where you can go to a lineup of Junior and Santi together? Because the issue with that,
no,
you have no defense.
Yeah, you're getting cooked. No chance.
So at that point,
you know where he fits?
What do you do?
He fits with Jaren at center.
I agree. But yeah, I like that the most, right? So let's say Steve-O comes out early, right? Which has been the opposite, right? It's been completely the opposite. So Steve-O comes out early and you go with you go with Kenny. Okay. That could work. Or you go the same way you've been going out. You send out Jaren early, you bring Jaren back in late, but then the second, maybe whenever Steve-O comes back, out the game, he comes out usually about the 2 to 3 minute mark in the first quarter. Then you go with, at that point, you're going with Junior. And so I guess Santi came in early and then Santi comes back out again and then maybe rotates that way. That's the only thing I would do. It's
you
confusing.
You can't have Santi and Junior on the floor at the same time. You're getting murdered. There's no chance. The best fit for Junior on this team is with Jaren at center and putting him next to Jaren at center. If you do that, then Jaren is going to be able to still roam, play free safety, be able to challenge all these shots. And you got Junior, who's just a rebounding machine. Grizzly guards and wings need to rebound better as is. That's been a thing for a while now. But that's a good fit because then you completely space the floor. Right. And you have so many ways to score. The problem is, okay, how do you get to that lineup? Right. And then who are you kicking out? Because does he fit well next to Adams?
No.
I don't know. I don't think that fits as well. Right. So, it's really just one specific scenario. I feel like he fits well on the team. Outside of that, I just don't know where do you plug him in. I think you got to have the coaching staff to figure it out though. Yeah, this kid's a bucket. He
is a bucket, and I think it's like I said. I think it's pretty easy. And the fact is that he has to pretty much be the one-on-one switch out whenever it comes for Steve-O. He has to be that. But at that point, you have to figure out a way to keep a lineup of Santi and Junior off. But that's going to be hard because there's going to be minutes where you have to. There's going to be a few minutes there where you have to eventually do that. Within the course of the game, if you get completely toasted in 2-3 minutes, maybe you adjust then. But I don't know what you do. But that honestly, if it all works out like that, that leaves X completely out of the 10-man rotation. Are you comfortable with that?
I don't think the staff will be. And the reason they would be uncomfortable with it, I think, is the same reason I'll be uncomfortable with it, which comes back to the very beginning of us talking about this. It's more like you're trying to fit the team around Junior and find a way to get him in than you are trying to fit the team around your stars.
Man, wow. Bless you. You about died twice. All right. Well, don't die on us. And then one thing you want to do is if you do feel uncomfortable about dying, go get you some life insurance with Zach Jaworski State Farm. They are our presenting sponsor at 901-794-3691. They are they're friends of the show. And so we're not sure what the future looks like with them. Just being honest, we're not sure. We're looking through some the financials, and we'll see if we have a new presenting sponsor for the newest season. But throughout Summer League, Zach Jaworski State Farm will be our presenting sponsor. And so make sure if you do need any insurance needs, whether it is life insurance or if it is your automobile, if it is rent, your mortgage, whatever, give Zach and his team a call at 901-794-3691. All right, let's go ahead and get into the last thing we want to hit on. And we won't stay on here too long, but as everybody knows, Desmond Bane, he got a contract extension, right? 5 years, $207 million. That's huge. Real quick, give me 60 seconds on what your thoughts are about that contract.
I don't need 60 seconds. Much deserved. It's awesome. Let's go.
Okay. That's what I figured. There's not much to say about DB. He was pulling up the game tonight. Was cool to see him just being himself, right? He is that dude. And the funny thing is he's literally making $4 million this year. That's it. The contract has not kicked in. I know you can get your money if you really need to, but the contract hadn't kicked in. So I thought that was kind of funny. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Dillon Brooks first, right? The Dillon Brooks trade goes down. What are your thoughts on Dillon Brooks when he's going to Houston? Do you think that's a good fit for him? And do you think that him now being in the same division, what are your thoughts on that?
It's going to be weird. It's going to get real weird, man. I do like the fit. So far, they've brought in some vets. Well, listen, honestly, if you can get Dillon 4 years, $80 million anywhere, it's a great fit for him. And I said this right when the season ended. I would not be shocked at all to see Dillon go somewhere outside of Memphis and thrive. I think Dillon Brooks is a good NBA player, dude. He's a good NBA player. I didn't think he could be a good NBA player in Memphis anymore because the baggage, it just got too weird at the end. It just got too weird with the missing the press conferences and the extra stuff around outside of basketball. And then he was talking about how he wanted to be used differently. So that may be something that plagues him his entire career, is he wants to be more than a 3-and-D guy, which is what he really needs to be. But he's a good NBA player that you want on your side when the game gets tight. He's an intense dude. He defends his freaking butt off. Unless the hand is really the issue with his shooting, when he broke his hand and that's what he can't recover from, kind of like a John Collins finger, I wouldn't be surprised to see his shooting look better getting back there. Just being honest.
This is the worst possible fit for him. Worst. Question, real quick.
Why?
One word answer. I'll answer your question in a second. One word answer. Yes or no. Does Dylan Brooks and the Houston Rockets, as long as he's there, ever make the top 8 and enter the actual playoffs in his 4 years there?
Who did they just sign? Fred VanVleet. And who else?
I don't know. A bucket of chicken?
No, they signed someone else because there's all that talk about Ime getting veterans in there.
Not a clue.
Do they make the playoffs while he's there? Was he there 4 years?
4 years.
Fred VanVleet's 3? A 3-year deal?
Sure.
I'm going to say yes. Saying yes.
There's 0.0 chance. I'd bet on that tonight. But I will say that
bet you $100 they do.
All right.
Over the next 4 years, they make the playoffs once while Dylan's there.
No way. All right. Let's go ahead and finish out this game. All right. So
blinded by your hatred, bro.
So Dylan going to Houston, man, just does not make sense for the simple fact that there's a lot of young guys that need the ball, right? And he can be a guy who can play really good defense, but he wants the ball and he wants to be able to do more, and that's fine. He's going to have a chance to do that, but it's not going to give winning basketball, right? Because he isn't a high percentage shooter. He isn't a high percentage shot creator. He's good at those, and that's fine. And that's regular season stuff. That's fine. But he isn't an amazing player to the point of he's going to take good shots and he's going to get his other players good shots. Like, don't get me wrong, he did find a way to pass the ball more. So I don't want to completely S on him about everything, but I will say that I just don't think he is a positive player to winning.
The second he signed on with the Rockets, he became the most winning type player on that team.
But they're not, but they're not good though. That's the thing is he can't be one of the best players on the team.
Dude, he plays hard. He cares. He wants to win. He doesn't just want to jack crap up, which is what that team does. That's why they signed him, dude. They want somebody that cares and is going to leave it all on the floor to win.
Okay. I'm down with that. Listen,
those guys over there are losers.
They are losers. They are.
All of them.
And they have so much talent.
That's why it's a good fit.
But we'll see. I don't know. Enough about him. All right, let's get to Derrick Rose. First thoughts, obviously, Derrick Rose coming back here to Memphis. He is now officially going to be number 23, as he was the Memphis Tigers. One of the few times in my life, I've obviously, a lot of people probably know, I've been a Duke fan since way, way early. My first real player that I just fell in love with was Shane Battier at Duke. And so around that time, when his 4-year career was around the time that I really just fell in love with Duke in general, right? We were Memphis, fine, whatever. But I didn't feel just completely embraced in the Tigers, okay? I went opposite of everything my dad did usually. So if he likes the 49ers, I chose the Cowboys. He likes the Cardinals. I chose the Braves. He chose the Tigers, and I randomly chose the Duke Blue Devils. So I've never been completely head over heels about the Tigers. That 2008 season, I was graduating college, and I was not too far from them at my school, and I loved that. Their run was amazing. That's one of the few times in my life that I really just loved every bit of it, and a lot of it was Derrick Rose. He reminded me so much of Jay Williams who played at Duke as well. And so that was really who I always thought, man, he is spitting image of him in a sense. And they were both amazing. For obviously Jay Williams had a motorcycle accident. But your thoughts on him, because I thought Derrick Rose coming back here brings so much maturity. I also think it brings a lot of just leadership in general. But I think what it could really do is help develop Ja's game in so many small areas that maybe Ja really doesn't even know.
Dude, same thing. I grew up a Tigers fan before a Grizzlies fan, right? Grew up going to the Pyramid with my dad to watch Tigers games. And but obviously before the Grizzlies came, that was the only basketball that we really had in Memphis. And despite all that, there's only one player ever whose college game made me fall in love with them. And it was Derrick Rose. And then, I mean, he was the original little guy. Before Westbrook, before Steph, he was the small dude that was going just owning an NBA court, right? And then you got, obviously you go way, way back. You got like Drexler and yada, yada, yada. But like, it was D Rose.
Yeah.
And just from a purely sentimental standpoint, it's freaking incredible. I'm buying that jersey. Whatever the city edition is, I'm buying a Derrick Rose city edition. But two, I think you're absolutely right. I've seen a lot of people talk about, he wasn't getting minutes. He can't stay healthy. I don't think it was a health thing nearly as much as it was they had younger guys and a guy who I really, really like in Miles McBride in New York that Thibodeau was like, they've earned minutes. We're going to try and go with these guys.
Tibbs plays his starters 40 minutes.
Well,
there's not much left over.
When you got guys that you're trying to get minutes who are younger, it makes more sense to try and get those guys developed and playing.
Emmanuel Quickly
he
was
as well.
the main guy with the ball.
Exactly. And so it makes sense. And Derrick Rose probably won't play just a ton of minutes for this team either, but he's a perfect locker room presence. And by the way, when he did play last year, he could still go get a bucket. Right. And so you're not bringing him in to be your amazing backup point guard. You're bringing him in to be able to carry the load a little bit as a backup when Jaws comes out, and you probably want Smart playing 3, sort of filling that Dillon role. But he just wanted to be that presence, that veteran presence that came in, won an MVP, is that caliber of player to mentor Ja. You're already going to have the enforcer in Marcus Smart. Then you're going to have a guy who says, I've been there, in Derrick Rose. And so I love the signing. And it's like the people who didn't like it, I didn't understand. It's like $6 million. You didn't even have to dig into your exception money yet. So like, why are we mad about this? Makes no sense at all. It's a good signing. I loved it.
You can literally waive him if you need to. I know that's not what we want to talk about. You could waive him and be okay, right? It's not a long contract. It's not going to hurt you long term. I don't even know what the guaranteed money is, but you could if you needed to. He's here for much bigger purposes than being a guy who's going to get you 15, 8, and 6. Like, that's not the guy he is. But I will say that looking back at the numbers to Derrick Rose minutes-wise, when he played the same amount of minutes in the last 3 seasons, you can look at the numbers and compare them spot on. Whenever Tyus had, a certain amount of minutes, Derrick had those exact same minutes. They were very, very close in the stats that they were putting up. And that's just in the last 3 years, right? And people want to say that Derrick has fallen off so far. He has not played the number of games. That's been the biggest issue, right? Is the health. And so my thinking is you need 25 potentially games of him being available to start the season when he should be obviously the most fresh, right? So you need about a month and a half out of him. And he doesn't have to play every game, right? So you don't need every time for him to suit up. But if you can get 20 minutes out of him just in the first month and a half of the season, and at that point, you fall back between 12 to 15 minutes. And the thing that I like about it the most, I would still go to him as the backup point guard. And I would still play Marcus Smart as the hybrid role. He can be the lead ball handler. He can still, because you want Marcus Smart to get 30 minutes a game, right? Even if he's coming off the bench. I don't care if he start. I don't care about the people who start. I don't care about anything. I just want to know who's going to finish the game. And a guy like Marcus Smart can finish the game. He's the hybrid guy that can connect the dots and can keep the teams going. And that's what I see.
Well, plus, if you're coming off the bench, you give him a guy like Luke Kennard to go dish it out to there. You got guys like David Roddy who can take on some ball handling. You got a bunch of stuff that works well around Derrick Rose as well. And, one thing that I've seen some people be like, oh, why are we signing this guy? The impact these vets have on Ja Morant is
huge.
The most important part. I saw our guy, Joe Molinax, getting into it with a guy on Twitter a little bit who's like, really? The guy said the goal is to save Ja Morant or whatever. And it's like,
yes.
Yeah, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what's going to happen if you don't? Like, yes, it would be amazing to have gotten OG Anunoby's skill set or Mikal Bridges' skill set. But quite frankly, it is better to have Marcus Smart's skill set, which is laying down the law in the locker room and helping guide a young dude through a time where he's going through it. Same with Derrick Rose, being able to guide a guy who's going through it. Like, that is the most important part for this team. Because guess what happens if Ja Morant doesn't get it figured out and stays getting in trouble? It's all over. It's done. Like, that's it, right? I mean, as much as I think Bane is a max player and deserves it, Ja Morant is the engine that makes this thing go.
Yeah.
And then Jaren and Bane are the two pieces that have to be there to maximize everything else around it. But yes, whatever you have to do. If you had to spend every last dime you had on one dude who will play 5 minutes this season, but it saved Ja Morant, worth every penny.
Absolutely.
Right? So let's accept that.
I agree. Last thing I'll say on this is I just kind of looking at the fit, right? I'm looking at Ja and his style. Who is the guy that people compared Ja Morant to? Derrick Rose, right? How does Derrick Rose play, right? The exact same style of basketball.
Aggressive.
When I look at a guy like Tyus Jones, I love Tyus Jones. Love him. Like, he is one of the most underrated point guards in the entire league. I think he's going to do exceptional there in Washington. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to do whatever he pretty much wants. But their styles were so vastly different that it looked like we would run this style of offense. Tyus comes in and we're kind of overlapping. We're trying to make it work. It never really fits. Ja goes out, and then we run this style of offense. Man, we're not going to run Derrick Rose and Ja together. That's not going to be how it is anymore. The hybrid guy, the guy that overlaps them, is going to be Marcus Smart. So you have that already figured out, right? So that actually lessens the minute that Derrick Rose would play if he is suiting up that night and he is healthy. But they're going to run the exact same style of offense. You want your 15 minutes of Derrick Rose, his 7.5 to 8 minute intervals whenever he's in the game. You want him downhill, getting to the front of the rim, kicking it out, and giving you that style of offense. Running the pick and roll with Steve-O, running the pick and roll with Junior, with X, whoever it is. That's the style. So your scheme as a coach gets a little bit easier. And so that's what I saw when they get a player like that, is because now you're making it a little bit easier to better run your offense and keep everything flowing the entire time.
Plus, let's remember, this is supposed to be fun and something that we love. Let Derrick Rose go have a 50-point game like he did in Minnesota and see what happens in Memphis.
You're going to blow it up.
Bro, listen, I know the ultimate goal is to win a championship, but the reason we love sports is for those kinds of moments. And Derrick Rose having some kind of game-winning play in some game that would mean nothing outside of that, but then Derrick Rose is the one that carries you to victory, is an amazing storyline and why we love sports. So let it happen, man. It's fun. Why do people hate fun now? Twitter. They hate fun because of Twitter.
Twitter's a bunch of angry elves. All right, let's go ahead and start wrapping up the show. Anything else that you have? We will be here on Monday again. So instead of doing Tuesday shows, we're going to do the next Monday. Monday they play at 5, and so it's roughly 2 hours. We're going to have a show starting around 7 o'clock on Monday. So as soon as the game ends, we're going to get it kicked off. We will have Brandon coming on the show, as well as Bryson. They're both going to pop in. I'm not exactly sure if they're going to be here at the same time or not. They are going to be at the game, and so we want to bring them on within the 45 minutes to an hour show that we're going to do. If we need to run it a little bit longer to make sure we catch one of them because they can't get out of the building or whatever, they're trying to catch some interviews, we want to make sure we're available for them to come on the show. But we will have some people that are going to be there on site at the game for next Monday. So roughly looking about 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. for next Monday. But we will not have a show tomorrow night or the next Tuesday. And then after Summer League, we're going to just figure it out. We're going to have a show every week. We plan to not take off shows, but I want to take some time off. I know Nate wants to take some time off as well. We're looking at maybe some guest host. We're looking at doing some hosting duties just ourselves individually with a guest. That way, whenever that means we don't have to be on the show, right? It allows us some time to not be here because we are planning to do every game this upcoming season. Okay, that doesn't. And so I don't want to just completely not take a break. And so that's why if you're looking for excuses, that's my excuse. I'm trying to take some time off before we get a little crazy on these random nights we're doing games. But anything else you have on this or anything you're looking forward to? Because that's kind of the Summer League supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch these guys. I was really, really trying to get there tonight and just couldn't quite swing it. Hopefully I'll be able to get down to one of these games this week. But honestly, the tickets are only $16, and I'm not sure they're even worth that, to be honest. So
how far is the drive?
About 30 minutes, give or take. 30-minute drive plus parking plus ticket plus I'm going to get a hot dog. And they have some really nice, like, candy pecans. Those things are pretty nice, dude. So I end up being $50 out. But, I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing how they use these guys. Obviously, Roddy is a guy I'm super attached to and biased towards regardless. But the way he helped this team last year and the potential he has to help them this year, I think it's going to be really fun to see him tap into that. Want to see if LaRavia can break out of it. Watching Junior dominate these dudes is always fun.
It is.
And then, of course, you got the guys like Gigi Jackson, who are the big mystery, the great unknown. And it's a ton of fun to watch and be like, oh, can they be awesome? So nothing in particular. Just going to have fun watching some basketball for a couple weeks.
That's my thing. I want to watch a lot of these guys on these other teams as well and kind of see what they look like. Usually you can see a guy who stands out on the court in the Summer League. It doesn't mean that it's going to translate to the NBA, but they have a much better shot of it translating. But also be careful about being so down on a player. And I know I'm down on Dylan Brooks. I'm not big on him being a winner, but you know what? I like him as a person. I like him as a player. I just don't think he's a good fit for us, but I don't think he's a good fit for Houston. But be careful about being down on these players too much. Like let's say Jake comes out and has another terrible game. I just think he is still needing another full year of developing. And some guys take a little bit longer. But eventually I think if it does click, he does have the size, he does have the athleticism, he does have the shot. It just all has to come together. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing our players. I'm hoping Vince Williams, man, just keeps coming on. That would be so much fun. It's just he keeps shooting the lights out, comes into training camp, shooting the lights out, preseason, shooting the lights out, makes him a spot. You're talking about somehow bringing him in for his 12 to 14 minutes a night, and you're able to pair him up with a Bain, or you're pairing him up with Luke Kennard, and you're just running him in there, shoot 6 to 8 times, see if you can get hot, catch lightning in a bottle, and then carry us to victory. So it's been fun, man. I can't wait. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good 2 weeks. So we have this week, we have another game. It's Wednesday and then Thursday, and then they're off Friday, and then they're back Saturday, then Monday, right? And then it keeps going, whatever. So it's pretty much every other day from that point. But that's all we have. You have anything else before we get out of here?
Nothing else.
That's it. Let's wrap the show. Make sure you tune in to Bluff City Bets. I know that I'm pretty sure they have a show coming out tomorrow. My show is coming out Friday. They just who just interviewed the No Bluffing podcast just interviewed Rob Fisher. I haven't had a chance to listen to it myself, but make sure you tune in to that. Anthony Sane does not have a show tomorrow, I don't believe, but he has another one Friday. The Free Basketball will have a show coming out Thursday. We have so much coming out. You can go look at the rest of Bluff City Media. There's so much Tiger stuff. And there's so many other podcasts, but make sure you tune in to us, but make sure you tune into our friends as well. But that's all we have. It's been a great week. It's been a great show. Be nice and tell your friends.